So today I've continued. I did not get enough sleep again last night, which is a problem, and so I ended up again going through more pain today, which I didn't really need to go through. Because when you force yourself to talk to a load of people and you also didn't get enough sleep, it's just going to multiply the pain by several amounts, and it's not going to at all weigh in your favor in terms of having a quality of life. So it's you just need to get enough sleep. That's all. I feel like even today, if I had gotten enough sleep, and I got enough sleep yesterday, it wouldn't have been that painful, because I pretty much went the whole of last week straight on without stopping, and my body will have adapted by now. But it's just because I've put myself through this kind of pain while I'm sleep deprived as well, and that's going to actually make it slightly more unbearable. That's why it was slightly unbearable today, doing it non-stop for about 6 or 7 hours, especially when I had the sales call before that. To be honest, today's sales call was the most brutal one I ever had. The person was like, I was making small talk, like, how are you? And he said, good. How's business? And he said, good. No. And just quite curt, and as if he wanted me to just start with a call. And then when I asked, do you want to jump right into the call? And he said, what? And I said, you want to jump right into the call? And he said, oh yeah. Like, it was just a bit awkward, because it was slowed down and the momentum was kind of stunted a bit at the start. So we got talking anyway, and I did my questioning on him, and I asked him, how many jobs do you do per month? And he said, what? And I repeat the question, and he says, that's pretty confidential information. I can't really be telling you that, in this kind of almost humorous voice. And then I say, okay, I understand you might have some sort of rules about that. You might not be willing to share that. That's completely fine. The reason I asked was just to see whether you want to do more in the next 6 to 12 months. And he's like, yeah, pretty confidential information though. I think the question you should really be asking would be, and then he went on to what he thought the sales call should be about, what he thought my questioning should be, whether I'd be, what type of platforms he'd like to be using. He just made it pretty tough. Now most salespeople even probably start getting like kind of emotional at this point, which is understandable. I mean, he was a pretty tough prospect. He was quite tough, but I kept going anyway, and I kind of just bury my offended emotions down beneath into my stomach, and so I don't let them affect my actions. In fact, I just double down in how confident and serious I am, and I honestly have trouble figuring out how I did it, but just recounting it now was like, it makes me feel how I actually felt then, and it just was not pleasant at all. It was a very unpleasant sensation. Just continuing to go through this call then, and I finished the questioning anyway. He didn't really appreciate my questioning, and I just thought, yeah, this is going to be a challenge anyway, but it's a welcome one to be sure, because if all my sales calls just go la-di-da and really easy like the one on Saturday did, then I'm never going to grow. Whereas if I have more calls like this one, I'm going to be able to handle anyone, and going to be able to sell anyone as well. So I got onto the pitch anyway, and each time I finished with any section, sometimes he would interject and say, okay, so I get what you're doing. Basically, you ask us a bunch of questions, you draft up the ads, and you start running them through, and you continuously optimize them. Yeah. Now, I'm just not really sure how that would work for us, because of some reason. The reason would usually be because I'm not really sure what you're going to be pricing us on. And I say, okay, so as I said before, this is a pay on results basis. We're going to be charging you commission. It's going to be about 10% at first, and for the upfront Google ad spend, it's going to be about 2,000. He goes into this kind of sort of, what would it be called, tangent kind of into, okay, but say you make me 40 grand in sales by the end of the month, what if you'd be taking 10% of that, then that's pretty bananas. He said that. He literally said that verbatim. He said exactly that, and I was just thinking, yeah, okay. And then I started talking about how, well, yeah, but the reason I asked you the profit margin, in brackets, I'd probably be thinking the question you scolded me for asking, basically. The reason I asked that was because I wanted to know what we would be cutting you down by, so I don't want to be eating into your margins. I should have really just told him, this is the price. If we're going to be making you 40,000, then 4,000 is a fair deal to be given us. So, but I don't know. He might have actually respected that conflict. I don't know. But I kind of played the safe route. Kind of played like the case of, I understand what you mean, but this is kind of just what it entails. It's kind of just my pricing, and you can take it or leave it, but that's it. Again, I didn't say it that straight because I can't really afford to sort of be straight with these people, because I can't risk losing business at this stage, so I kind of have to take on people who I kind of are finding slightly unpleasant at first. And the ironic part is that guy was one of the first guys I cold called when I was in this niche. Like my very first day in this niche, I cold called people out of just around the local area, and he was one of them. And he was like the shining sun above all the other prospects, because he was saying to me, I really appreciate you cold calling, because it takes a lot of guts, and not many people have that. A lot of people call me each week and they say, we have something to sell you, and that they're just trying to sell you something, but you are authentic. You are a no BS kind of guy, and I do respect that a lot. And I was just so happy with that. That just put me over the moon, because it made me feel like, what I'm doing is genuine and I'm not some kind of con salesman. But then he was the most brutal prospect ever on a sales call. It's just pretty surprising. Now, he might not have been trying to be brutal, but and I'm not saying that it shouldn't have happened, because it should have happened, absolutely 100%. I'm grateful it did happen, because it means I'm better at sales now than I was yesterday. But a lot of people would find it difficult to sort of cope with the pressure he would have been putting on. Just finding my water bottle. I just smell the manure in the room. I have my windows open. It's bad. It's really bad. Don't live near farms if you're going to live in the countryside, please. So this call was at about 9:30. And it's funny enough, because the call started off rocky enough, because he asked me over the phone, hey, I have a link here, should I click on it? And I said, yeah, click on it. And he said, yeah, okay. Now it's saying here to launch meeting. Should I click on that? And I said, yeah, I'll go ahead, try it anyway. And then I see this notification on my screen seconds later saying, the guy's name has entered the waiting room, and then giving me the big shiny blue button to admit, and so I admitted him. And that's how it worked. But it was kind of a foreshadowing sign of how rocky the call was going to go. But anyway, the call started off extremely rocky. It continued extremely rocky. I showed him the framework. I showed him the different parts of the process. Each time afterwards, he had a question for me, and he had a long thing to explain about something, and I kind of addressed it. And I was sort of just wrestling with each objection to the ground. I was bloody. I'm not saying this out of pride or anything, but I was brutally kind of fighting for life in this objection phase, because he was very skeptical. He didn't want to think about anything. I respect that about him. He was very straight, but he would shoot every possible piece of doubt he had at me. He would not keep a single thing in his mind. Believe me, he will keep nothing in his mind, which is the opposite to the first person I actually got to agree to come on board. That guy was a bit less direct. This guy was extremely direct, and he would say everything about it. And he already has someone doing Google Ads as well. And he was saying, and I don't know what value you could really bring if I would be paying you 10% commission, and I'd be paying you a good bit if you were making me a good bit. But it's in direct proportion, and it kind of just makes sense. If I'm bringing you that much business, then obviously I'm worth at least a tenth of that. So yeah, the only difference is you're the one doing the jobs and spending the time on it. I'm the one who's more so concerned with just generating the sales in the first place. But anyway, that's not the point. The point is I kept going through the call anyway. I showed him the guide, and then when I was telling him basically how the process works, before I was finished showing him the last bits of it, like the location tracking and all that, he said, okay, well, I basically know how Google Ads work anyway, but I just want you to kind of address that, or what I actually need to know, which is stuff like pricing and how would you reckon this is actually going to work. Now, I'm not saying this guy was rude at all, because he was okay. It's just a lot of people would get extremely offended at this, and I'm not saying, I'm above anyone else because I didn't get offended at this, because every offended emotion I get, I just try to repress down as much as possible, and the less sleep deprived I am, the better I'm able to repress it, which is funny because today I had to repress the most of it, and I was the most sleep deprived as well. Maybe not, maybe I was more sleep deprived yesterday, but you get what I mean. I'm more physically tired today. Anyway, it's funny because today I actually got this. It's pretty cool. So it's Berserk. It's kind of a cool manga thing. Anyway, kind of outside the point, but glad to have it anyway. Probably gonna read some of it if I had any bloody time. I have about 3 more calls tomorrow. Anyway, I'll go back to the call I was talking about. Sorry, getting off topic here. At the end of the call, I decided to make a compromise with him. I said, look, I know you're running your own Google Ads. You're looking to endeavor into other platforms instead of Google Ads. Unfortunately for you, I specialize in Google Ads, and what I could do is conduct an audit for you for the first month and have a look at what your ad structure is like and seeing what you could do better. I'm not gonna do anything with the ads, and I'm not even gonna charge you for the service, but I'll have a look. Now, this was I thought this was genius because, for one, I don't actually have experience in running anyone's Google ad campaigns, so I'm kind of just going off, not liquid confidence, but like kind of inflated confidence here because I don't have the skills to back it up. But then it's also that I'm going to get my foot in the door with them, which is the more obvious benefit, but I think the better benefit is that I get experience in looking at how this person do their campaigns. I'm going to have a look at this and get the actual experience, instead of just saying, I'm really experienced, I'm able to do all of this. So yeah, I had no other sales calls today, thankfully, because I was completely wrecked after that one. I have 2 sales calls tomorrow and an onboarding meeting, and the person hasn't actually sent me back the form, but he did say he got it, which is good, and he is recognizing that he is kind of needing to go with it. He seemed genuine on the phone today. The thing is, I really don't want him to just slip through my fingers and kind of let me off, because I worked very hard to get that client and I don't want to lose him. But if I do, it's just going to have to happen, and I'm going to go on to the next one. And funnily enough, today, right after that meeting, the second client I agreed to come on board. Now, they're not technically clients yet, but I'll call them clients for sake of reference. But second client I got on board, he said, okay, to an email. So I was just looking for your website and any references of people who you've serviced before, and then at first I was just kind of thinking, oh, okay, there's not much of a chance this guy's going to convert. But then I was just thinking, why don't I make the best of this situation? And I actually sent him the URL link to my funnel, because why not? That's just the way it looks. And I also said to him that I don't actually have testimonials online, because I haven't actually asked for testimonials because I've been so busy with both delivering results and getting more people on board, so it hasn't really been my priority. I used to do web design as a service, and you can have a look at this one, insert brackets, ChatGPT generated long review by this person. I literally just showed them the review generated by ChatGPT, this person that I did the website for, and they said, yeah, you can say I said that. This is why I don't trust Google reviews. That's exactly what they said. And so I was like, okay, I'm gonna stick this up on my website. So then I took the copy from my website, I pasted it, and then I sent it into that guy in the email. And this isn't deception, because the person agreed to say that they had said it. And also Brian Tracy said that he used to go to houses with a sales pitch, and he'd say to the people who refused, okay, but can you say that you wrote this entire letter long review about us? And then they just agree to it. So that must have been moral. So why isn't this moral? Plus, I'm going to go to the ends of the earth to deliver results to them, so they're not gonna lose anything. It's just I'm sort of creating an impression more so than an actual proof of concept that I can deliver these results. Which I can. I know I can, because I've put in the causes into motion to make my brain attuned enough to the Google Ads platform, so I'm able to do that. Now, I don't have anything else to say. If you want to have a talk, you can. Anyway, adios.